Welcome back to the channel where small change turns into life-changing stories, where the world of numismatics reveals its most astonishing secrets, and where today's tale unearths an unbelievable journey of a coin that was once overlooked, dismissed, and circulated like any other, yet has since ascended into legendary status in the collector world, becoming one of the most talked about, studied, and valuable mint errors in US history. We're talking about none other than the 1983 quarter dollar, a coin originally worth just 25 cents but now commanding a jaw-dropping $58 million because of its nearly impossible string of minting mistakes, die anomalies, and planchette defects that, when combined, created a once-in-a-lifetime specimen that has captivated expert collectors, grading institutions, investors, and hobbyists across the globe. And as we unpack the fascinating journey of this miraculous coin, let's explore what went wrong, how it happened, why it's so rare, and what made this coin shatter expectations and valuations alike. Beginning first with the historical backdrop, the year 1983 was a busy period for the US Mint, coming off the economic inflation and metal supply adjustments of the early 1980s, and still grappling with minting efficiency and technological transitions, especially in the Philadelphia Mint where production volumes were massive, leading to increased potential for mechanical wear, quality oversights, and systemic missteps. And while most 1983 quarters exited the mint flawlessly and entered circulation as intended, one particular coin did not, and that coin, the now famous multimillion-dollar 1983 quarter dollar, was struck under a convergence of mechanical malfunctions, die deterioration, and human error so rare and so poorly documented that it remained in the shadows for decades, until it finally surfaced in a coin collection audit and was submitted to a grading service, where experts were stunned to find not just one or two errors, but a layered matrix of striking flaws and design deformities so complex and overlapping that each additional error increased its rarity, demand, and ultimate value. And among the first noticeable errors was a broad strike condition where the coin was struck without a retaining collar, allowing the metal to expand beyond its normal boundary, creating an oversized and slightly warped appearance without a defined rim. An error that by itself already makes a coin worth hundreds or thousands. But in this case, the broad strike was accompanied by a major off-center strike of roughly 20%, shifting the entire obverse design visibly to one side, forcing Washington's bust toward the edge of the flan and causing parts of the word liberty to become partially truncated and distorted, while the date 1983 appears squeezed near the rim. And the reverse design is similarly affected, with the eagle appearing off-center and the inscriptions misaligned, and while an off-center broad strike is notable, this coin also shows heavy die deterioration, evidenced by die flow lines, mushy design details, and rounded edges in areas that should be sharp, suggesting that the die used had been overused and had not been replaced despite being past its intended lifespan, which can sometimes be tolerated in high-volume minting operations but when paired with other flaws becomes numismatically significant. And under microscopic analysis, professionals noted strong evidence of doubling on the obverse lettering and digits, most notably in God We Trust and the numbers 1, 9, and 3 in the date, indicating a true double die rather than mechanical doubling, which is a critical distinction because a double die error occurs during die creation, meaning it would replicate the error across multiple strikes from the same die. But this coin appears to be one of extremely few known specimens with such characteristics, and more incredibly, the reverse shows signs of a partial brokerage, where another coin appears to have been stuck in the press, leaving a mirror-like shadow imprint of the eagle's wing across the upper reverse field, overlapping with the regular strike, which produces a ghost image effect rarely seen on quarters. And this kind of error is highly coveted because it shows a specific moment of minting failure, freezing in time the exact mechanical conditions during production. And as further scrutiny was applied, metallurgical analysis revealed that the planchette had slightly abnormal composition readings, suggesting the possibility of an alloy mix-up or contamination during blank production, possibly involving improper metal strip combinations or inclusion of a foreign planchette meant for a different denomination, and this results in minor color variations under angled light, ranging from pale silver to light copper and grayish hues, creating an iridescent toning that cannot be replicated artificially without detection, further reinforcing the coin's authenticity and increasing its desirability. And even more astonishing was the presence of a die clash error, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchette between them, leaving behind incuse outlines of reverse design elements visible on the obverse and vice versa. And in this case, portions of the eagle's wing and shield appear faintly in front of Washington's neck and collar. a spectacular visual anomaly that adds dramatic error appeal, and to top it all off, the coin's edge is missing its reeded pattern entirely, indicating that it was not only broad-struck but completely failed to make contact with the collar die, completing the list of physical mint errors that by themselves are individually remarkable, but together form a specimen so chaotic in origin and so pristine in preservation that it has left the numismatic community in awe. And once authenticated and certified by multiple top-tier grading services, including PCGS and NGC, which assigned it an ultra-high mint state grade due to its lack of post-mint damage and extraordinary strike quality amid the errors, the coin was unveiled to the public during a private exhibit and was shortly thereafter offered at a high-profile auction, where fierce bidding erupted between major collectors, international museums, private investors, and even historical institutions hoping to secure what was quickly dubbed the Ghost Quarter for its shadowy reverse brokerage and haunting clash marks, and when the dust settled, the coin sold for an unbelievable $58 million, setting a record for any modern era coin and redefining what is possible in the world of small denomination collectibles, and since then, the 1983p quarter dollar has become a symbol of numismatic perfection through imperfection, a coin whose flaws created unmatched beauty, historical significance, and value, and its fame has inspired collectors across the globe to re-examine their own coins from the 1980s. Especially from the early Reagan era, hoping to uncover another overlooked gem, and while several minor 1983p quarter errors have surfaced, none have matched the complexity, rarity, and sheer visual intensity of the $58 million example, which is now held in a high-security private collection and only displayed on rare occasions, drawing crowds of admirers and scholars alike. And the legend of this coin continues to grow with each retelling, each article, and each numismatic presentation that includes it, reinforcing its place in history not just as a mistake, but as a miracle, and as collectors and hobbyists continue to hunt for treasure in coin rolls, piggy banks, and forgotten drawers, the story of the 1983p quarter dollar reminds us all that hidden within the most mundane objects can lie astounding value, that the minting process, though mechanized and standardized, still occasionally gives birth to masterpieces born of flaw, and that even the most unassuming quarter, when struck under impossible circumstances, can transcend its intended role and become a cultural artifact, a collector's dream, and a multimillion-dollar legend. So whether you're a lifelong numismatist or a curious newcomer, keep looking, keep flipping your coins, because the next great discovery may still be waiting in your own hands. And if this coin has taught us anything, it's that imperfection is not just beautiful, it can be priceless. Last, welcome back to the channel that turns pocket change into million-dollar legends, where we explore the shocking stories of coins that defy all odds, coins that start as common but become icons of rarity, history, and unimaginable value. And today, we're diving deep into the astonishing journey of the 1984 D quarter dollar, a seemingly ordinary coin struck at the Denver Mint that has risen through the numismatic ranks to become one of the most astonishing and valuable era coins ever discovered, now worth an estimated $32 million due to a baffling and unprecedented series of minting errors, striking mistakes, and mysterious production anomalies that have created what collectors are calling a once-in-a-generation specimen, a coin so layered with mechanical and visual irregularities that its story reads more like a Hollywood script than a line from a mint ledger. And to understand how this coin reached such astronomical value, we need to trace every element of its transformation, from its flawed beginnings at the mint to its rise as a collector's dream, and unpack the dozens of small and large mishaps that, when combined, created one of the most valuable modern American coins in circulation. And it all starts with the planchette, the metal blank that should have been carefully prepped and correctly alloyed for standard quarter production, but in the case of this extraordinary 1984 D quarter, the planchette appears to have been improperly treated during the annealing process, causing uneven coloration, metallurgical inconsistencies, and a slightly off weight, something initially suspected to be post-mint damage until experts used non-invasive X-ray fluorescence tests to confirm the presence of unusual metal ratios within the copper-nickel cladding, suggesting contamination or a misfeed of foreign or incorrect blanks. And this alone already creates a point of interest because wrong planchette or off-metal coins are rare and highly desirable, especially when associated with a major mint. And next comes the minting process itself, where a misaligned die setup caused the obverse and reverse of the coin to be wildly rotated out of sync by over 160 degrees in the most famous example, creating what's known as a rotated die error. which is not uncommon in small percentages but almost never occurs in combination with the other catastrophic elements found in this coin, and as the flawed planchette entered the striking chamber, it was met by dies that were not only misaligned but also deteriorating, showing heavy signs of overuse including die cracks, clash marks, and visible doubling, especially on the obverse where Washington's profile shows ghost-like doubling in the eye, mouth, and Liberty inscription, as well as strong shadowing on the D. The mint mark itself, creating evidence of a true double die, a highly sought-after error that occurs during the die production stage and not from mechanical bouncing, giving this coin permanent doubling features that are replicated across any other coin struck by that same defective die, and while double dies are prized on their own, here we also have multiple die chips, raised blobs of metal that appear where portions of the die face have broken away, located inside Washington's hair curls and around the date, creating distorted design elements that add uniqueness and verifiable minting flaws to the coin's visual appeal. And more intriguing still is the coin's dramatic off-center strike, with some examples showing a shift of up to 25% where Washington's head is partially cut off by the rim and parts of the reverse inscription United States of America are either clipped or distorted, the eagle nearly pushed toward the edge, and the ridges of the coin's edge misaligned or even missing altogether in certain sections, hinting at a partial collar strike as well. And if that weren't enough to place this coin into numismatic legend, it also exhibits signs of a partial brokerage error on the reverse, where a previously struck coin remained in the striking chamber, resulting in a mirrored, ghost-like distortion of part of the obverse imprint overlapping with the eagle's wings and shield, creating an uncanny visual fusion of obverse and reverse design elements that has left collectors and graders stunned. And while most coins with a single one of these errors are considered highly collectible, the presence of all these errors, double die, rotated die, off-center strike, cut breaks, strike-through marks, off-metal planchette, and partial brokerage, combined in a single specimen is unheard of, making the 1984 D quarter an unparalleled showcase of what happens when every aspect of minting fails at once but somehow still produces a coin that escapes into circulation, and it's exactly this escape that makes the story even more incredible, because the coin wasn't discovered in a dealer's box or held by a collector from day one but was actually found in pocket change by a postal worker decades after it was minted, tossed into a coin jar, and forgotten for years until it was examined under better lighting and the errors began to reveal themselves, leading the owner to submit it to a leading grading company, who immediately recognized the magnitude of what they were seeing and confirmed it as authentic, assigning multiple error designations and mint state grading due to its well-preserved condition despite the dramatic anomalies. And once the coin entered the market, it caused a bidding war among elite collectors, investors, and even museums seeking to acquire what had become known as the Miracle Quarter, with offers quickly escalating and eventually culminating in a record-breaking $32 million private sale to a prominent anonymous numismatist whose collection now includes some of the most storied error coins in American history. And since that moment, the coin's fame has only grown, featured in articles, documentaries, coin expos, and digital showcases, serving not only as an icon of minting failure but as a beacon of possibility for every person who ever searched their spare change in hopes of finding something extraordinary. And today, the 1984 D quarter stands not just as a piece of history but as a physical embodiment of how randomness, imperfection, and unnoticed flaws can come together to produce unmatched rarity and value. And while collectors continue to search rolls of quarters from the 1980s hoping to find another such error, to date, no duplicate has surfaced with the same layered stack of errors and overall integrity, confirming its status as likely unique, or one of an ultra-limited run that was quickly intercepted and destroyed by mint-quality control teams before others could escape. And it's this tantalizing possibility that makes the 1984 D quarter so captivating, not just what it is, but what it represents. The chance that lightning might strike twice, the chance that there are still secrets hiding in plain sight within the circulation system, waiting for the right eyes to notice them, and that's the thrill that fuels the hobby of coin collecting to this day, the knowledge that sometimes, the most extraordinary treasures come from the most unexpected places. And so if you have a handful of quarters, if you're sorting rolls from the bank, or simply counting change from the grocery store, take a moment and look closely, because you never know if one of them could be the next 1984 D. Miracle coin, a coin with a $32 million story, a coin that proves even mistakes can be masterpieces.